Conservation is so important to us today, especially with our K-12 students and the demographics that we have. We had a group of students that came from Windsor Middle School, and they were trying to figure out what rules they had to make to protect the river. And they studied the river as it went down, took measurements and the water quality, and they stopped at several places along the way. And at the end, we all got together and said, okay, what rules do we need to make? Finally, one student said, you know, if we could just get the students to value this place, they won't need any rules. They'll take care of it. And that's what we're trying to do. PLC is located right between Windsor and Greeley on the Poudre River, in the middle section of the Poudre River Trail. And so we're about 200 acres on both sides of the river now. The mission of the PLC is to awaken a sense of wonder and a curiosity in each student in the outdoors, into nature. And our role is to develop that relationship. We see the Poudre Learning Center as a gateway, a place that you can get started, a place that you can refresh, a place that you can go within a short time period from your home, but a place that's in your place where you're living. And so that's the role that it plays in our community. Our focus, though, is on K-12 students. Our funding from our schools comes from K-12, and we think that's a critical part of our society that's going to be those decision makers. We're often asked to address this current decision makers, and we try to do that as well. But our real focus is those future. You know, we've been here since, well, the 90s in some form. It officially started, Poudre Learning Center started in 2005. You think if we had a student in 2005, well, how old are they today? And so if they're in high school, then, you know, they're definitely a decision maker. So it doesn't take long to get into that role. And so we think our biggest impact is to develop that value, that support, and that understanding of the outdoors, the role that water and land play in our future, and how to make decisions about it. Conservation is so important to us today, especially with our K-12 students and the demographics that we have. And what we found that by doing something that's close to home, they take more ownership into it. They have that value that it's something that's theirs, and they're going to take care of it. And so that's that conservation belief that the students are developing, and hopefully that carries on not just from here, not just happens here, but everywhere they go outdoors. The role of ecological restoration in the PLC is deeply entwined. Shortly after we got here, we got the land, we started to do the restoration, and within a couple of years, actually 3 years, we were on the Greeley Grass Tour. And so they came out and showed how you could go and take what's traditionally called a go-back field, go back to the weeds, and turn it into more of a native environment. So we will always struggle with that, being on a floodplain. Every time it floods, we bring in new seeds, and the wind brings in new seeds, and we have lots of seeds in our weed seeds in our soils, but we continue to develop, and we try not to use sprays, but to use as much as we can through manipulation and overseeding. And the other thing we're doing is on the north side, we have 133 acres, and we will continue to do restoration on that. And we could hire someone to do all the restoration, and we will do some of the large earth moving with hired folks, but a large portion will be done by students and volunteers. And again, that's to build that value and to build that stakeholder. It's so important that when we see a student that comes back and we see them bring their family back, they say, you know, I planted these trees along this area right over here, and look how tall it is now. And the future of the PLC is going, especially during these times, is hard to predict, but we continued to look at a future that's expanding. How do we get more students out here? One of the things that makes the PLC different is we have people that work out here and that volunteer that have education experience, and that makes them a tremendous value to those students as a resource. So we can tell that continues. We also hope that we continue to reach more of all of Weld County, and so now it continues to grow. Last year we had over 36,000 students that we worked with, and it continues to grow and be that opportunity as a gateway to get kids outdoors and build a relationship with someplace that's close to home.